and of a, I'm going to call it a social hour, but an hour that we can come together and kind of brainstorm some of the things that are and aren't working when we're doing these lovely virtual field trips and things that we're not used to doing on a daily basis, or a classroom that's hybrid and the teacher's not sure how to work it. We just kind of have those brainstorming sessions the third Tuesday of every month. So welcome, this is Teacher Tuesday. I'd like to introduce y'all to Kim. Kim is our program coordinator in charge of outreach and volunteer management. She wears many hats, and then teacher workshop. She came out of the third grade classroom last November. She's been with me a year now, and loving having her with me. As for me, I'm going to start my screen share and talk about my kind of path to field journaling as we go. Let's see, share screen. And when I share my screen, Kim, I can't see the participants, so you'll have to take over that for me. So we're going to connect nature with words, pictures, and numbers. And how did I get there? Well, I got there through an evolution. I started out as a hard scientist. I wish you could see, like, my nose is scrunched up in this picture, and I'm probably going, oh, you want me to do what? Is the look I have. When I went to grad school, I had a grad school professor who lived in a zero footprint eco-village and only wanted us to make friends with everything and not name a thing when we were in the field. It was a really hard transition with me. To go from hard scientist, where I wanted to know the statistical variance of everything I was touching, to, oh, don't name it, just make friends with it. But in working through grad school, 18 months of having to make friends with things and keeping a nature journal, I found I had a love for it. So I came home and I called my sister, who is the artist in the family, and said, I'm going to write a field sketching curriculum. And she laughed at me and said, you can't draw. And I said, I know, but it's a TEK, which is what we call our science standards here. And I think that a curriculum needs to be written, so I'm going to write it. She said, great, you can bounce ideas off me and we'll see what comes out. And so I wrote this curriculum. It's kind of 3 pieces called Field Sketching, and it has been a great hit over the last 5 years to 7 years, depending on whether they started with my prototype or my fine-tuned one. And then one homeschool day, a group of parents came to me and said, I love your drawings. Could you teach my kids how to draw? And I decided I'd make a sketching class that was hard as all get out. They'd have to come once a month. They'd have homework. Their parents would have to participate. And that would keep my numbers small. Well, it didn't keep my numbers small. I have 36 kids and their families in that sketching class. And as they finish that 7 months of sketching, where they learn how to draw and the skills that are needed, they move into my monthly nature journaling co-op, where they get a theme. So one month we might do a leaf study, and one month we might do a 3x3, where we take a 3-foot square and we find 3 things we're interested in and we spend time there. Writing Wild is something that I've just gotten into. If you haven't read the book Writing Wild, it's great for working with older kids, especially middle school and high school kids, because writing is something they need to do a lot of, and it has prompts that are very personal, so they want to write about things that they connect to, so it makes it a little bit easier. But I will tell you that some of those prompts can be too personal and you might need a therapist there, so pick your prompts accordingly. And here we are today, where I have started Inspiring Your Inner Natural, where we're connecting nature through art and writing, and I'm planning my first nature journaling retreat as we speak. So what does the research say about nature journaling? The first thing is that nature journaling, your nature journal, is a documentation of your surroundings. So that's phenology. Whether you're doing it month by month or you're doing it on a calendar day by day, you're keeping a record of when things appear in your own nearby nature, and you are keeping that record that can be gone back to, like, I can tell you that our migrating white pelicans came in 3 weeks earlier than they did last year. I can tell you that our wildflowers came up 2 months earlier. I have bluebonnets. This is my front yard. These bluebonnets stream up here. I have bluebonnets in my yard today. It's the wrong time of year for bluebonnets. So because I keep those things on my calendar, in my phenology calendar, I can tell you those things because I can go back and look. What else does nature journaling does? It creates and strengthens neural synapses. Special reasoning makes a connection between both spheres, your corpus callosum. And so that's the brain science of it. It's making these connections in your brain. Your pathways are getting stronger as you do that, which makes you happier, healthier, and smarter, which is our Texas Parks and Wildlife tagline for being outside. That's our eco-psychology, so taking care of your heart, your head, your whole body. Personal safety and self-reliance, that situational awareness of where you are in nature, what dangers may or may not be around you. Allowing kids to explore and not say be careful the whole time. Let them come up with the awareness of what they need to worry about. That doesn't mean let them flip rocks and stick their hands under logs where snakes could get them, but teach them how to flip them correctly towards themselves so the snake runs away from them when they are old enough, the toddler. And the next thing, deep connection. The more you spend in your by nature, it creates a deep natural connection to the nature and your surroundings, which gives you an ecological literacy. And then my favorite is curiosity, which develops questioning skills. So the more you let kids be outside and be curious, the better their questioning skills get as they grow. Are there any questions about the research? I tried to keep it really broad because I know a lot of people don't want to read boring research papers, but I think it's important. So, all right, so what are we going to do today? We're going to look at the prompts, words, pictures, and numbers. I have to move y'all so I can see. And then we're going to use the prompts I notice, I wonder, and it reminds me of. We're going to do a few things to teach you some art activities that will teach you how to draw. So we're going to do some quick draws, some 5-second drawings, some 10-second drawings. Maybe we'll work all the way up to 2 minutes. It depends on whether y'all hang in with me or not. We're going to do some gesture sketches of trees, and then we're going to practice drawing upside down parts of a whole and mirror images. So just to give you a little bit of, we're going to do a couple of wild writing activities. So we're going to experience a small piece of nature and interact with it. And then we're going to practice listing, interpreting, questioning, and reflection. So, oops, too far. Let me get out of this, stop share, so you can see me again. Hi, Ada. It's good to see you. Oh, Ada, you are on mute.
Sorry, I thought Kim sent me the email, so I'm searching for Kim's email, and it's like, well, it's not there. And anyways, I finally found it.
Yeah, and so our Estuary program shares one paid account, so everything comes from Catherine's account. All right, so in theory, you're getting my DocuCam, but I just see myself, so sometimes I have, there we go. All right, so the first type of drawing is called contour drawing. So this is a worksheet that I can email out afterwards, and I have a right-handed and a left-handed version of it. It comes from Christine Elder. It's from her Wild Wonder workshop this last year, I believe. But a contour drawing just means that if you were an ant and you walked along the outside of this, that's the trace you'll make, making one complete line without ever picking your pencil up. So I'm gonna try, then y'all can laugh at me, and then I'm gonna cover mine up and put this where that's the only thing you see. I'll bring the light down and y'all can try. So I'm gonna try the upright one, and looking at just the picture of the acorn and not the picture there. So that's, I'm gonna flip the light off and see if it makes it better. That's my acorn drawing as a gesture sketch. And sometimes they don't line up at all, but it's really hard for me to truly do it. Like I can't turn around and not watch y'all. So sometimes my acorns look like I try to do more things and they come out more like that. And that's fine. The point is what I saw instead of what I drew. And so gesture sketches may not look beautiful on your paper, but then we can add things. Like I noticed the hash marks on this particular acorn that maybe I wouldn't have noticed otherwise. I noticed that this had two pieces on it. So it looks like, it kind of looks like this. And I'm not sure why. You know, so you just start adding those words around your gesture sketch to kind of teach that thought process of, this is not my art journal. This is the place where I make observations. And sometimes my observations are made messy, and that's okay. Messy journals are fun, right? And the stuff I remember drawing, I can tell you that in school, I drew the same tricycle as a contour drawing probably 150 times one year. I hated the teacher, I really did, but I can tell you that bicycle, backwards, forwards, upside down, you know, every rust mark on it, because I saw it so much. I spent so much time with it. So this is a gesture sketch. Let me erase my mark over here so that we can cover it up. And I'm going to cover it up and bring this down so that the only thing y'all can see is the acorn, maybe. All right, and then I'm gonna give y'all a few seconds, a few minutes to try your hand at drawing a blind contour. So remember, you're the ant who's walking around the outside of it. You're never picking your pencil up, and you're trying to get the shape of that one acorn. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so is anybody brave enough to show me their acorn? Oh, looky there. What a great blind contour. Awesome. See, those are great blind contours. I can tell what they are, and meaning that they are blind contours, not that they are acorns, but I can tell that. And then all you have to do is write some information about them, and you have a page, which takes the fear of the blank page off when kids are doing this, especially. Although I will say adults are worse about the fear of the blank page than kids are. So there's that. And the next like drawing tip is that of negative space. And again, I'm going to use Christine's stuff because, well, she's already created it, and why recreate it, right? So things to look at. The first thing when we talk about sketching success is to block things in. And so in blocking things in, just to give you a little information, where is my blue pencil? There it is. I use Prismacolor's non-photo blue pencil. So you'll notice these lines are done in blue. It's like a little blue colored pencil. It is the one with the eraser, and it blocks things in so lightly that when I watercolor over it, those lines disappear. So if I draw these circles and lines with this particular pencil, I can go back over it with watercolor and nobody will notice that practice line that I put on there. So first thing we're going to do is block it in, which means we take the big shapes, circles, triangles, squares if you've got them, and you block in those big shapes. Then you're going to try to find the proportions. So you're going to take your pen up on that bird and be like, okay, his whole body is this long. Make sure that you have a line drawing through him from beak to end of tail that's that long. You can go this way from head to foot, and he's this long. And you can draw that to make sure your proportions are right. Then your alignment. So you want to make sure that the beak comes off in the right spot on the head, and that the eye is in line with the beak, and that the tail comes off at the angle along with the eye. So you can see those lines are drawn in there, and which angle the legs are coming off and the feet are laying flat, because he must be hopping around on the ground, or she. Flow lines to give that overall shape, empty space, angles if there are any, and again, empty space. So we're going to try this with a turtle. All right, here's my turtle. So in my turtle, the first thing we want to do is kind of block that in. I'm going to use my black pen so you can see it. And I'm going to draw right on top of him. So we'll do the best we can to erase him, or I'll grab the other one here in a second if I need to. So he's got a circle for a head, kind of an oval here, and he's got a triangle here, and a triangle here, and kind of a half circle there, and a line out here. So those are his big shapes, right? And then we're going to go to its proportion. And so where is his eye in proportion to the edge of his foot? And we draw that line. We'd make sure we had the proportion across here correctly. So again, you'd measure those things kind of just with your eye, the eye on your pen. Sorry, I went the wrong way. So you just take your pen and put it up at eye level and look at the animal you're looking at, which in this case is a turtle in the water. And you'd be like, okay, he's about this much of the pen. And then you lay that on the paper, and that's how you get your proportions. You can do it with your finger if it's bigger. You know, you can stretch your fingers out if it's a bigger item, if you need to get a bigger thing. And then the other thing is you can use your whole arm. So if it's like a huge sea lion or something, you can use your whole arm to measure the proportion. And then you're going to want to get any angles. He doesn't really have a lot of angles except right here and right here. And it's not really a whole angle. It's more like a triangle there. And then your negative space. So there's some negative space here, here, and here. And now I'm going to get the other one so that we can work on him. All right. Here's my left-handed one. All right, so now that we have that kind of blocked in on our practice one, we're going to try to draw him over here. So again, we're going to draw that circle for his head and that oval for his body. And this is where we're going to start measuring. So from there to there, it's actually right here. So we're going to want to make this oval bigger. And then across here. We're going to go from here to here. And so now we can put in our triangles. And our half circle here, and our line back here. Now we have the basic shape of a turtle, sort of. And then I'm going to go in with a different color to make it easier to see. Let me find a color we'll use bright pink. And then we'll work its actual shape in. So working the shape in here to give it more of the right shape as we come through. And then he's got a line down his back that his scoots come off of. This side is actually a little wider. This side comes down more like this. And then he's got these lines that come down. And you just keep working him until you think he looks like he should. And it may take a couple of layers, but again, when you come back in with some color, a lot of that will go away, especially if you're using that blue pencil that I was talking about, this non-photo blue pencil that's not in the screen because I'm still trying to learn to use the DocuCam well. So that's using your basic shapes to get it in. And then the other two things that I kind of put on there is to draw things upside down, because that brain science we were talking about, your brain doesn't recognize it quite the same when it's upside down as it does when it's right side up. So you can take your paper and draw your snail upside down. And I'm doing all of these really quickly. I'm not spending a lot of time on the detail here as I would if I were, you know, sitting by myself outside. But I want to be respectful of y'all's time too.
So you're doing it upside down and reverse.
I am doing it upside down and reverse, yes, right now. But you could do it upside down the same way. So, and that is something that I found that I do when it's upside down or reverse, I would probably draw this elephant upside down and reverse, not just reverse. And I don't know why, that's just the way my brain works. My sister did a lot of upside down drawing when I was a kid, and I guess because I always sat on the other side of the table, my brain picked it up in reverse. So that is where I think that comes from, but that's just my guess. So just to kind of give you an idea. And then you want to work your lines in as to where you want to put your colors. And so this is something you'll just have to play with and figure out how your brain works best, whether it's upside down and reverse, or whether it's, we can do it upside down in the same way. So that's upside down, upside same way. That's upside down and reverse. Okay. Different ways to do it. I have to more when I'm doing it the same way. Just FYI. And then the other thing would be mirror imaging. So mirror imaging would mean you'd try to draw, and I'm going to try to do it just a mirror image this time. You try to draw him, and I do my spaces just a little different when I'm doing bigger things. I'm still looking at that negative space more than anything when I do this. And again, you're just tricking the brain that knows what an elephant looks like so that what you're drawing is not an elephant, so that you can get the shape just a little bit better. And then you're going to want to work on his head a little bit. So these are just quick ways to teach kids to get over some of their fears. And again, none of these look perfect. These are all quick sketches that are very quick and perfect and imperfect, and that's okay. Does anybody have any questions about those types of items? Ada, I know I'm in your class a lot. Have we used any of these with your kids? We've been hanging out on Wonder Walk so late, so I'm not sure. All right, so the next activity is to spend some time with things. Let me get this as close as I can. And I put lots of things here for us to choose from and draw. These are some things I picked up on my beach walk the other day. And what we're going to do is spend some time with them and do a writing activity. So what I'd like you to do is on your paper, pick one or two and sketch them out. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to spend some time sketching and making observations. And those observations can be with words, pictures, or numbers. So you might say, I see, well, I don't see 5 holes. I see 4 holes in the sand dollar, but can hypothesize that there are 5 because it's missing a piece. You might notice that this is the same shell on both sides. One is the top and one is the bottom. You might notice, I was hoping it would show up a little bit better, but you might notice that these bivalves have ridges in different directions. There's a small piece of coral here on the top. Oh, well, my top, your side. And then there is a gooseneck barnacle here, just to give you a couple of ideas of what you're looking at. This one's still stuck together, so that coquina shell is still stuck. The donut shell is still stuck together. So you might want to start using some of those props. What do you notice? Do you notice anything that I haven't named? Do you notice anything that makes you wonder something? So I wonder why this shell is broken. I actually know why that shell is broken because my dog hit my hand and I dropped it. It was a perfect sand dollar before that. So, you know, if you didn't know this was called a slipper shell, you might say it reminds me of a slipper, thus the name slipper shell. I wonder why that's a gooseneck barnacle. It doesn't really look like a goose to me. I noticed that the ridges go in 2 different directions. I wonder if that means something evolutionarily. And the answer to that is yes, it does. If you have a tape measure, you might put it out to see how big something is. So you might want to measure something to see that this piece of coral is 3 centimeters wide. Go, yep, 2 centimeters wide. Yeah, and you might want to check some of that out. Right, does anybody want to share their page? Some of the things they found. You can do it verbally or you can actually show the page, whatever you want.
Well, I'll go ahead and share my page, although I'm going to share it verbally because I'm the only one that can read my handwriting.
Okay.
I was noticing the one that was the bivalve that was in the upper right hand corner, the one you pointed out that had the ridges. I noticed right off the bat before you even mentioned it about the ridges flaring in opposite directions. But I also noticed that there were radial lines that were paralleling the front edge too. I wonder if those radial lines represent growth. And then I noticed at the same time that there's a variety of colors, that there are some faint color changes that seem to coincide with those radial lines. So I'm wondering if there's a correlation between the color change, different minerals in the environment, and growth, and whether or not one can be used to measure the other.
Yes, so they are growth rings. You are correct. And I don't know that you can tell that, but you notice that, let's see if I can get any closer on that. That one of those has teeth and one of those doesn't, where they hinge together up here. So evolutionarily, this one is a younger or a newer type of closing than this is. So this is an older shell evolutionarily. It's been around longer. And then those lines you're talking about are growth lines. So you can see how it's growing and whether it was a good year or a bad year. But it's not really like a tree, it's a year because their growth is with the seasons. In this case, that can happen over you can have 2 or 3 growth spurts over the same season, over the same year, because we stay warm year round here. So it's not really age, but it is growth. So.
Nice, thank you.
Sure. Did anybody else see anything else that was really cool? Kim, did you notice anything?
actually, I was focused on some of those same shells, and I had similar wonderings. And I think it's really great when we share that because you answered some of my questions by answering Kim's questions.
Yeah, that's cool. And that's that collaboration part. So the great thing about nature journaling is if kids start talking about their pages with you or with each other, they'll start coming up with answers on their own. And even if their answers are still, I wonder if this is because, it's still giving them some ownership, which is pretty awesome. And they don't get a lot of time to wonder on their own in classrooms because they spend so much time, trying to get the information in for this 6 weeks for this test or whatever the case may be. And so to give them that little bit of freedom, I know I love going into Ada's classroom, even if it's virtually, because watching them come back with their pages from the garden and show me what they drew or what they thought, or that they saw 4 colors of bees today, or that they were certain that they had seen the full life cycle of this particular butterfly, Susie, not the species, but Susie and Susie's caterpillar and Susie's chrysalis. So they are just a lot of fun when they are let loose for their curiosity. So I appreciate you sharing, Ken. Did you find anything interesting, Jocelyn? I know you're not quite in the same area. So.
Yeah, I was noticing that most of them are around the same color. So that got me thinking, I wonder how that helps them to be that color. Are they that way because it helps them survive? So lots of questions wondering about that.
Yes, and I could have picked more colorful shells. I did that on purpose because I was thinking the black and white would show better on the DocuCam than it really is. Like I said, I'm still trying to figure out what works best under the DocuCam to bring things into the classroom. But the next thing I thought we'd do is some writing experience. So we're going to use the word feather to write a poem, and our inspiration will be these feathers from, I think I got these out of your yard, Ada. Remember when our neighbors had guineas? So we'll use these feathers as our inspiration, and we'll write the word feather as an acrostic. So straight down the page, you'd write F-E-A-T-H-E-R, and then we'll write a poem with each letter of the word feather. And remember, we like words, pictures, and numbers. So go ahead and sketch a feather and use at least one number in your poem. right, about 2 more minutes and then we'll share out what we learned about feathers. Does anyone want to share their poem or their sketch?
I'll share.
Okay.
My sketch is kind of small. I just did it on the lower part. Can
Mhm.
you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
Yeah. Looks good.
So when you tell us to do something, apparently I just don't pay attention to the time you've given us. I kind of rush and then I'm like, oh, I'm done too early. And so my point is, my
Isn't that
process is
every
very
classroom
simple.
we're in? You know, isn't that what every kid does in a classroom?
Probably, yeah, exactly. I'm more focused on what I need to do, and the time part just kind of goes right beyond me. And so it's just a very simple acrostic. Found nearby early in the morning, August the 1st, time 7 a.m. Hoping to see the bird the feather belongs. Ears will need to be on point, ready to spot the bird.
Very good. Very good. Yay. And does anybody else want to share? Okay, let's see. From tip to bottom, enormous numbers of dots, all illustrating the lines and facts to be found there. Here the dots are small, but everywhere they are in rows. Very cool. I like your feather at the bottom too. Jocelyn, how'd you do?
There we go.
There we
I'll
go.
show you. Am I in there?
So there you
A
go.
little harder on the writing part. It's a little harder for me, but
Yeah.
it's
And
still
everybody's
exercise.
everybody's going to be different. Some people are going to hate the writing and some people are going to hate the drawing. So you just kind of have to find their passion and go with it, especially when you're teaching large groups. Amanda, did you want to share something? Give her some time.
Let me see if I can find the unmute. So
There we go. Yeah.
I just did the poemy piece, and I don't know how coherent it is, but here
That's
we
okay.
First the bird grew it, eats bugs and grain for shiny plumes, and then the bird flew it. The nib is dimpled when shed naturally, has dotted pate like whale shark hide, envelops ink with the shaft inside, reminiscent of dinos past, feathers mask the hunter's eyes.
Oh, I think it's pretty darn coherent. That's awesome. All right, so the last activity, I don't know if it's going to be better with the light or without the light. I think without the light, is a writing activity that helps when kids like really don't want to draw. So we make the sketch box the bottom third of the page, and the top 2/3 will all be words and numbers. So this is a good place to kind of leap off on if you've got kids who like to make lists. For instance, Ada gets kids that have come from a 4th grade birding class into her classroom, so they might be really good at making lists of the birds they see, but they may not be very good at making observations yet. In fact, I can almost guarantee that, having birded with them. So on this list, we're going to take a virtual hike. So I've set the page up for you. On this side is a place to write a list. On this side, we'll write a reflection when we're done with our virtual hike. And down here, we will make tiny 1-inch sketches of what we see on our hike. So basically what that means is I'm going to take my museum in a box and pull things out. There's my museum in a box. Pull things out and talk about where we are on the hike, and then you will get an idea, and then we'll finish our page. So as we walk down the trail, we notice sorry, the dog has come to visit. Hi, Sugar. And we notice that we have found an acorn cap, and we set that down and we stop to sketch the acorn cap. So we will make a teeny tiny sketch of said acorn cap on our page. And Sugar will smell everything on our virtual hike while I draw. And then in our list, we will write acorn cap. Okay. Then as we keep walking, this is a really good trail for BioFest, just FYI. We find some turtle scoots. And so we will take a moment and sketch our turtle scoots. And we had 2 turtle scoots. Okay. And we keep walking and we find some cool rocks. And we think, oh, I wonder, they all kind of feel different. This one's kind of rough, but cleaves in straight lines. And this one's bumpy and has polka dots. And this one's really smooth. It'd make a great worry stone. So then we draw a rock. And we say 3 rocks. And then we find this really cool, because this is an awesome trail, possum jaw. So we'll go ahead and draw it. If you can draw it with the then we'll find a sweet gum. Also, I have no idea what season this is because we're about to find cotton too. And right beside that is some cotton growing. And we walk a little further and we find a weird vertebrate by the water. Don't forget a nice little egg. And our walk is through. So of the things we found, we've got 5 or 6 little bitty drawings at the bottom. We can then go back and label anything we want to on those drawings. Kind of putting some of these things away there so the dog doesn't run off with them. And then we reflect on what we found. So what are some of the reflections? I notice, I wonder, it reminds me of that we could have. Anybody got any reflections?
The pattern on one of the scutes reminds me of a pattern I see in design a lot in fabrics or in jewelry.
Oh, that's a cool one.
I see series of patterns in almost everything that we were looking at today. The pattern in the scutes that she mentions, and also the whorls on the top of the acorn cap, and the particular curves of the vertebrae. These kinds of patterns always jump out at me.
The sweet gum remind me of my first trip to Arkansas. I had never seen sweet gum before, and we were sitting outside in Little Rock, in a little suburb, and they were everywhere. When the acorns fall off my tree in the front yard, in some seasons they're just everywhere. You can't step without crushing an acorn. Well, there was sweet gum just like that. And then I found out that the local people collect them, and they make arts and crafts with them, during Halloween, they might they connect them somehow and make them look like spiders. I didn't see a product. I was just told about it because it was in the summer. But I thought it was pretty cool. I had never seen sweet gum drop like any of that.
That's wonderful, Ada. So you didn't get a chance to see them, what they look like in the fall?
No, I did not.
Oh, I'll give you a clue. The genus that they're in is liquid amber.
Oh.
Yeah, they really are beautiful trees.
Now just, you know what? It was in my husband's cousin's property. So now they can send me pictures. It may be too late. It may be too late now, but I'll catch them.
It's too late. I've got 2 in my front yard, and
Oh, do you have them locally?
I do. Yeah, well, I live in the Ozarks. I'm in Arkansas also.
Oh, you're in Arkansas. I was like, well, wait a minute. I've never seen one here. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. A beautiful state.
So this is a writing activity that we do that came out of the Writing Wild book, the Wild Writing book, that talks about doing lists, sketches, and reflections or interpretations as this third piece. So I wrote this kind of as a reflection of all the things that nature, or that pattern see every nature, circles, scutes, swirls in the A cap, the cotton looking like a vase, the bottom of the cotton, and the lines on the vertebra. So I did it more as a reflection that connects to kind of our own memories or past memories, but you could also do that as an interpretation of like truly the trail, where you could draw a map of the trail, or you could say, you know, there was one acorn cap, but I saw 47 trees that it could have come from. You know, you could truly interpret it scientifically just as easily as we did it kind of in our own connections. So it all depends on what age you have and what their passion is, but nature journaling can go in so many different directions that I hope this has kind of helped you some. I'm going to switch to me so you can see my beautiful face again. Haha, the dog has disappeared, so I might have some peace for a little bit, so that we can talk a little bit about what you learned today and what you may still have questions about. I've got all my little knickknacks here. I can do everything from show you what's in my bag to show you old journal pages to pulling out some more biofacts for us to practice with. So tell me what you need, and we'll spend the next half hour or so kind of going over some of that.
I have a question.
Sure.
I couldn't see because there's only so much space in the document camera. In the box where you had reflect, what is in the top right side of that?
Oh, so the date.
Oh, okay.
So I date all my pages. One of the things we haven't gone over yet is a page that Ada sees all the time. I keep this page for kids as reminders. So sketches, words, and numbers. I notice, I wonder, it reminds me of, those are the 2 things we did today. If you've got the GT group and you want 7 things to do on your page, you would add metadata, you would make sure that there were questions, you would make connections, you would have maps, you would have sketches and colors, you would have observations. I have color, oh, labels, sketches and labels, and then you would have color. Sorry, it's hard to read backwards. So these are kind of my rubrics, depending on what age group and how often I've been working with them, of what I expect on a page. And so if I take Ada's kids out in the garden virtually and I give them an assignment, right now they're kind of stuck in the I notice, I wonder, it reminds me of stage because they're just starting, but we've added metadata this last time that we met. So we asked them to take the temperature and tell me the cloud cover. So we're just starting that. She's got 5th graders. We're just starting that kind of step with them. And they're really lucky. They have a beautiful garden right outside of their classroom that they can go to that is just gorgeous. So some of the things I do with kids as I step them through this program.
They love it. They're ready to see you again.
Well, you have to tell me that my background check has been okayed before I can come into the classroom.
I've already inquired, so they're waiting to get the updated list.
Okay. Ken, I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Well, I was actually talking to Karen, but I was going to speak, but you were next. You were. First off, Larry Joe, I want to say thank you very much. Sure. You've known me for a while. I'm a writer and not a drawer, and my sketching just from these practices tonight is far better than I've ever done before. Right. So I want to say thank you. I mean, that's really wonderful.
These are really easy things, and the more you practice them, the better they get, and you'll be amazed in 2 or 3 practices how fast these become part of your everyday thing. I never would have thought that I would blind contour a draw and it would look like something. And now, like that vertebra, I did a total blind contour. I never looked at my page, just at the vertebra in my hand. So it does help. And it's all about pencil miles. The more miles you put in on the pencil, the better it's going to get. That's not my term, it's somebody else's.
Well, when I teach origami, that's it. You got to fold lots of paper before you know how to fold paper.
That's right. And I have a challenge for you. I want a full origami nativity scene by next year.
Actually, I have directions for quite a number of different styles of those, from very abstract to highly detailed. So, although you're second in line for that request, Holly Sanders is already on. She's asked last year, and I still haven't done it.
You haven't done it for her?
No, not yet. I usually make her an angel and send her an angel every year, but I need to do more.
Yeah.
But no, the goal right now is I've got to do a snowflake for my granddaughter.
Mm.
So sorry, grandkids take first, right?
Yes, they do. They do. They do.
But anyway, I need to sign off. Dinner's just about ready, and I got to go help Karen finish it. So
All right.
thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Give
I miss
Karen a hug,
everybody.
and
I
we'll
will.
see you soon. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
So Jocelyn, is there something I can help you with?
Yes, but I think I need to think about what my question is. I'm wondering if I could get your email address in case it comes to me and I maybe want to just follow up with a question via
course
email.
you
Is that
can.
okay?
Yeah. I'm going to put it in the chat so that everybody has it.
Perfect. Thank you.
And so you can use Internaturalist is kind of my nature journaling passion page. So I have a blog that right now we are doing a holiday challenge where it's a bingo card. And if you get bingo, you'll get a sticker and a fun nature journaling pen or pencil or something. And then if you get a whole blackout between now and Christmas time, I'm actually sending you 2 sketchbooks. So that's kind of my fun thing I'm doing this time. And then every Friday I have what's called Field Notes Friday at 1:30, where I get on and teach a lesson, and I have everything from 4-year-olds who tell me I can't draw to 60-year-olds who it's the first time they've picked up a pencil. So we just have fun. But I am definitely a resource. This is my passion, and I'm here to answer any of your questions. So, Amanda, do you have any questions?
I don't have any for right now, but I did copy your email if I think of something later.
Excellent. Well, I hope y'all had a good time.
I have a question.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's
The
all right.
page- because I want to practice what you were doing with the elephant, the mirroring and all that. Will you be sending us that page?
I will send you those pages. I will pull them out and I will email them. I have to go feed my parents, and so it'll probably be first thing in the morning, but we'll get
Okay,
that
great.
emailed out first thing in the morning with the pages that I used.
Thank you.
Sure
Thank you
thing.
so
And I'll give you
much.
both right and left-handed. So I appreciate y'all spending your evening with us. That was great, and I hope y'all learned something.
Thank you.
Kim, is there anything you want to add?
No, I just think this was a really neat group, and I could see this group maybe having a follow-up. Maybe they could schedule something through your website.
Yeah. Even, our next Teacher Tuesday, we can do a little more sketching.
Actually, that would be a great idea.
All right. Well, thanks for spending an hour with us, and we will see you later. Bye, guys.